Recording in progress.
We'll have a moment of silent meditation or prayer. Thank you. You may be seated. Honourable delegates, I would like to remind delegates that rules, in particular sub-rules 21, 22, and 23 of Rule 103 would apply today. I've been informed that there'll be no notices of motions or motions without notice. Honourable delegates, we shall now proceed to the first order, and that is the consideration of the report of the Select Committee on Finance on the 2025 revised and proposed fiscal framework. And that was ATC'd on the 26th of November 2025. I now call upon the Honourable Ndlovu, the Chairperson of the Select Committee on Finance, to present the committee report for 10 minutes. Honourable Ndlovu.
No, Deputy Chair didn't make a mistake. Is it not 15 minutes?
The document that I got in front of me says 10 minutes.
Okay. Honourable Deputy Chairperson, the Chief Whip, Honourable Miman, members of the legislature in the visual platform, and chairpersons of the committees, members of Parliament, my colleagues here with me, good afternoon. And Honourable Deputy Chair, it is my honor today to table before this August House the report of the Select Committee on Finance on the 2025 revised and proposed fiscal framework as referred to the committee in accordance with the Money Bills and Related Matters Act. But first, Honourable Deputy Chair, allow me to extend my heartfelt congratulations to His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, as I'll be asking Honourable Badenhorst to listen to me, and Team South Africa for the outstanding success of the G20 summit. Their leadership and diplomacy have not only elevated South Africa's global standing, but have also demonstrated our nation's commitment to driving inclusive, sustainable development. This achievement is a testament to South Africa's growing influence on the world stage. The country has demonstrated that indeed, as a nation amongst nations, we cannot be bullied. Honourable Deputy Chairperson, the report I'm tabling here follows extensive deliberations, public participation, and engagement with key stakeholders, including the Parliamentary Budget Office, the PBO and the FFC, the South African Reserve Bank, the Auditor General of South Africa, and leading academic and policy experts. Honourable Deputy Chair, we consider this fiscal framework at a time when the South Africa economy faces several interlinked pressures. Persistently low income growth, underperformance in revenue collection, worsening debt service costs, and increasing demand on the state due to rising inequality and unemployment. The 2025 MTBPS tables a revised fiscal framework that responds to these realities. Revenue projections have been revised downwards by 56.1 billion. Expenditure pressures continue to mount, and the country's debt trajectory remains elevated, with debt services costs projected to exceed 420 billion in the coming financial year. Despite these challenges, Honourable Deputy Chairperson, the committee committee recognizes the determination of a government of national unity led by the African National Congress to restore fiscal sustainability, rebuild state capacity, and protect the poor and the working class majority, even within tight fiscal constraints. This balancing act is not easy. It demands discipline, courage, and prioritization. The revenue and macroeconomic assumptions. Honourable Deputy Chair, the committee notes the SARS continues to improve compliance, but structural weaknesses in the economy limit the revenue base. The committee strongly supports SARS' ongoing modernization, automation, and enforcement strategies because without a capable revenue authority, no fiscal framework can succeed. We only note the macroeconomic assumption underpinning the framework, including GDP growth projections averaging 1.2% over the medium-term expenditure framework, that is the MTEF. While realistic, this remains too low to reduce unemployment or meaningfully shift the fiscal trajectory. The committee is clear. South Africa must accelerate economic reform, invest in industrialization, and strengthen localization. A strong developmental state is not a slogan. It requires the fiscal space to intervene meaningfully in the economy. The 2025 revised fiscal framework proposed continued fiscal consolidation, but the committee stresses that consolidation must not equal austerity. The poor cannot be punished for structural weaknesses they did not create. We therefore welcome government efforts to protect priority areas such as basic education, public health care, social grants, infrastructure investment, and policing and community safety. Honourable Deputy Chair, however, the committee remains concerned about underfunded mandates, especially in provinces and municipalities where frontline services are delivered, declining per capita allocation, they threaten the ability of provinces to deliver on developmental obligation. The committee recommends the National Treasury must work closely with provinces to avoid service delivery collapse, particularly in health services and social services and education. Honourable Deputy Chairperson, the South African debt have stabilized at high level, but debt service costs not exceed spending on policing, social development, administration, and post-school education combined. This is a warning sign. The committee notes several fiscal risks. The SOE bailouts remain a possibility. Weak financial management in certain government departments, rising compensation pressures, and impact on global economic volatility. The committee therefore calls improved public procurement system, better expenditure control, a more transparent SOE reform path, and clear timelines for resolving ESCOM, Transnet, and PRASA operational blockage. A developmental state cannot function without efficient, accountable, and modernized public institutions. Honourable Deputy Chair, the committee received valuable submission from civil society organizations, labor, academic, and public finance experts. Key concerns raised include the risk of deepening poverty in consolidation in poor targeted, the shrinking budget of provinces and municipalities, the long-term decline in infrastructure spending, and the need to protect social protection programs. These voices remind us that the budget is not merely a technical document, it is a moral document. It reflects the values and priority of society. As the ANC has always affirmed, a people-centered state must place the needs of the vulnerable at the center of all fiscal decisions. The committee, these are the committee findings, Deputy Chair. Macroeconomic growth remain too low to generate sufficient revenue. Fiscal consolidation is unavoidable, but it must be balanced with social and developmental imperatives. Public sector efficiency must be improved to ensure value for money. Debt service costs have become unsustainable, crowding out development spending. Province face significant budget pressures, placing frontline services at risk. SOE instability continues to pose major fiscal risk. Public participation inputs highlight a need for greater transparency and equity in the fiscal framework. The government strengthen economic reform that boosts inclusive growth and employment. National Treasury must take urgent steps to stabilize provincial finances, particularly in health, education, and social services. SARS continue to modernize and expand compliance programs to strengthen the revenue base. A comprehensive SOE reform roadmap must be tabled with timelines and measurable outcomes. Infrastructure spending must be protected and expanded with improved project management capacity. National Treasury must enhance monitoring of department and entities with recurring audit and performance challenges. Government must ensure that fiscal consolidation does not worsen poverty and inequality. The implementation of fiscal framework must be accompanied by improved efficiency, accountability, and transparency. In conclusion, Honourable Deputy Chairperson, this fiscal framework reflects tough choices, but choices that must be made to secure our country's economic future. As the ANC, we remain committed to building a capable, ethical, developmental state, one that uses public finances to uplift the poor, expand opportunities, and drive transformation. The Select Committee therefore conclude that having considered the 2025 revised and proposed fiscal framework, the committee recommends that the NCOP adopt the fiscal framework in accordance with Section 6 of the Money Bills and related matters. Honourable Deputy Chairperson, I must also inform that as the committee, we also noted the rejection of this report by the EFF and the NCOP. On behalf of the committee, I hereby table this report for consideration of this table, of this Honourable House. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honourable Ndlovu. You did well to keep within the time. Honourable delegates, that concludes the debate. I now put the question, and the question is that the report be adopted. Before we proceed to voting, I shall allow provinces an opportunity for 3 minutes to make their declarations, if they so wish, in terms of Rule 86. Are there any provinces that would like to make a declaration? I don't see any hands. We shall now proceed to voting on the question, and the question is that the report be adopted. I now call upon provinces to cast their votes. When heads of delegations are called upon, they must indicate whether they vote in favour, against, or abstain. We shall start with the Eastern Cape.
Chairperson and honourable members, good afternoon. The Eastern Cape is voting in favour.
Thank you, Honourable Advocate. We now move on to Free State.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Free State votes in favour.
Thank you. Thank you. We now move on to Gauteng.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Gauteng votes in favour.
Thank you. Limpopo.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. Limpopo vote in favour.
Thank you. KwaZulu-Natal.
Thank you, Chair. The province of KZN votes in support.
Thank you. Mpumalanga.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Mpumalanga vote in favour.
Thank you. Northern Cape.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Northern Cape votes in favour. Thank you.
Thank you. Northwest.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson. Bokoni Bupirima vote in favour.
Thank you. Western Cape.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Western Cape will support.
Thank you very much. The voting is now closed. Honourable members, I can announce that all 9 provinces voted in favour. I therefore declare the report adopted in accordance with Section 65 of the Constitution. Honourable delegates, we shall now proceed to the second order, and that is the consideration of the report of the Joint Committees on Ethics and Members' Interests on the disclosures of members' interests for 2025. And this report was ATC'd on the 25th of July, 2025. I call upon the Honourable J.H.P. Brits, Co-Chairperson of the Joint Committees on Ethics and Members' Interests, to present the committee report for 10 minutes.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Good afternoon, members, South Africans, members of the media. Now, the contents of the ethics report normally provides wonderful information and good content for gossip here in Parliament's corridors, and also forms the subject and provides us normal suspects for media reports. Honourable Deputy Chair, I'm going to take this opportunity to highlight a few aspects of the work of the Joint Ethics Committee as well as the Code. Now, conduct of members in committees are regulated by the rules of both houses. The conduct of members in joint committees and in joint sessions of Parliament are regulated by the joint rules. The conduct of members during plenaries and mini plenaries are regulated by both houses' rules. Now, conduct of members outside of Parliament and outside of the precinct of Parliament are regulated by the rules of the Code of Ethical Conduct and Disclosure of Members' Interests. Now, as we are aware, there is a trust deficit between the public out there as well as members of Parliament for various reasons. Many of those reasons are valid, and we cannot escape that. And that is why it's very important that we have a look at the purpose and the scope of the Code, once again, so that members can take note thereof. The Code provides a framework of reference for members when discharging their duties and responsibilities and sets out the minimum ethical standards and values. And the purpose of the Code is to create public trust and confidence in public reps and to protect the integrity of Parliament. This is to ensure that there is oversight over members. This Code rests on a few principles. I'm just going to touch on it: selflessness, integrity, objectivity, openness, honesty, and leadership. But Parliament consists of its members, and Parliament can only be ethical and act ethical when members of Parliament act with integrity. Now, there are quite a number of definitions for integrity, but basically it means, honourable members, that do the right thing when nobody's watching. And I say again, do the right thing when nobody's watching. That is not difficult. That is why the Code consists, one part, of ethical behaviour expected of a Member of Parliament, and secondly, it consists of the register of the interest that you need to declare. That is so in order that we can close the trust deficit, that once again, the public out there can trust public representatives and members of Parliament. Now, the Joint Committee on Ethics and Members' Interests reports that in terms of item 12.7 of the Code, which requires that members of Parliament must submit their financial and their registrable interests during the first quarter of a financial year. The due date for the 2025 disclosure of members' interest was the 30th of June of this year. Now, the committee reports to this House that all members of Parliament complied with the due date. There were no late disclosures. As far as we could have determined, this is the first time that this specific achievement, this result was achieved. And I think that is a very good sign that members are moving in the right direction to close that trust deficit. The committee is of the view that the 100% compliance shows that the commitment of all members of Parliament to take the public into their trust when disclosing their interest and financial interest. This shows that there is commitment by members of Parliament to submit to the provisions of the Code, which governs ethical conduct. And Honourable Chair and members, take note that checks are being done on those interests that you do declare. For example, the Deeds Office data is checked. the data of the CIPC is checked, your credit records can be checked. So please make sure that you do declare your interest, because if you don't, you will be found out and you will bear the consequences. So, Honourable Deputy Chair, with those few words, I hereby table this report. I think it is a good news report. It is a positive report. And for those that were looking forward to all the juicy parts, the next report may or may not contain information and content for gossip and further media reports. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Brits. Thanks for your sound advice. And also, I think from the chair, I want to congratulate all our members for disclosing their interests on time. Well done to all of you. That concludes the debate. I now put the question, and the question is that the report be adopted. But before we proceed to the voting, I shall allow provinces an opportunity to make their declarations in terms of Rule 86, if they so wish, for 3 minutes. Are there any provinces that would like to make a declaration? I don't see any hands. We shall now proceed to voting on the question, and the question is that the report be adopted. I now call upon provinces to cast their vote. When called upon, heads of delegations must indicate whether they vote in favor, against, or abstain. We shall start with the Western Cape.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. The Western Cape will support.
Thank you. Northwest.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. As Northwest, we support.
Thank you. Northern Cape.
Deputy Chair, Northern Cape, we support the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Mpumalanga.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Mpumalanga, support.
Thank you. Limpopo. Thank you, Limpopo. KwaZulu-Natal.
Chairperson, on behalf of the province of KwaZulu-Natal, we support the report.
Thank you. Gauteng.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Gauteng supports.
Thank you. Free State.
Thank you, Chair. So help me God, we shall declare Free State vote in favor.
Thank you, Free State. Eastern Cape.
Chairperson, the Eastern Cape support the report.
Thank you very much. Honourable delegates, the voting is now closed and all 9 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the report adopted in accordance with Section 65 of the Constitution. Honourable delegates, we shall now proceed to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th orders. That being the consideration of the report on the Select Committee on Economic Development and Trade on the protocol on competition to the agreement establishing the African Continental Free Trade Area dated 3rd September 2025, which was ATC'd on the 3rd of September 2025, and the consideration of the report on the Select Committee on Economic Development and Trade on the Afrix Bank Establishment Agreement dated 5th November 2025, which was ATC'd on the 6th of November 2025. And the consideration of the report of the Select Committee on Economic Development and Trade on the Protocol on Women and Youth in Trade to the Agreement establishing the Africa Continental Free Trade Area dated 3rd September 2025 and ATC'd on the 3rd of September 2025. Honourable delegates, I now call upon the Honourable H.S. Boshoff, Chairperson of the Select Committee on Economic Development and Trade, to present the committee report for 15 minutes.
Honourable Deputy Chair, there is no report as the committee was in accordance with support of the 3 protocols, and there will be no declaration, so we'll leave it over to the the whip of the DA to take it forward. Thank you.
Honourable Chief Whip, if I can get a direction from you, seeing that there is no report, how do we proceed?
No. I think Given what the chairperson has said, I think let's with the guidance from the chair, remove the item from the agenda.
Honourable delegates, I've been advised that we shall proceed to the next order, and in the meantime, we will get advice in terms of how do we proceed. So we will now proceed to the sixth order. The sixth order being the consideration of the report of the Select Committee on Finance on the province's economic and budget performance dated 7th October 2025 and was ATC'd on the 8th of October 2025. I now have the pleasure to call upon the Honourable S. Ndlovu, the Chairperson of the Select Committee on Finance, to present a report for 10 minutes.
It says 10 minutes.
Yes, 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
But she didn't present. Okay, no. Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. Thank you, Deputy Chairperson, and greetings to honourable members on the virtual platform, the Chief Whip, Honourable Mimang, and the honourable members in the House. Honourable members and esteemed colleagues, so fellow South Africans, it is both a profound privilege and a sacred duty to stand before you today to table in the House the report of the Select Committee on Finance on the province's economic and budget performance. Honourable Deputy Chairperson and members, the Select Committee on Finance is constituted by a dedicated team that has put in tireless efforts to examine the fiscal matters before the committee, ensuring that the policies in its policies it puts forward serve the best interests of our country and, most importantly, the people of South Africa. The financial landscape of our nation is a matter that deserves our most serious consideration. Every financial decision we make, every allocation of resources, and every policy implemented has the potential to touch the lives of millions of South Africans, whether directly or indirectly. As we stand here today, it is with the recognition that our duty as elected representatives is to ensure that the nation's finances are managed with integrity, transparency, and a deep sense of social responsibility. As we table this report, Honourable Deputy Chairperson, we reflect on the progress we have made and the challenges that still lie ahead. We acknowledge that the road to a stable and growing economy is not without its obstacles. Yet we are resolute in our conviction that through sound fiscal policy, innovation thinking, and a commitment to the ideal of social justice, we can overcome these challenges and achieve the vision we have for a prosperous and inclusive South Africa. Honourable Deputy Chairperson, the global and domestic economic landscape present us with both challenges and opportunities. The aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic continues to reverberated through economies across the world, including our own. The shocks of global inflation, supply chain disruption, and political instability have tested the resilience of many nations, including ours. Yet, despite these challenges, South Africans remain steadfast in its determination to emerge strong and more united. The African National Congress has consistently emphasized the importance of prioritizing the economic needs of the people, particularly those who have been excluded from the mainstream economy for far too long. Our commitment to redressing the legacy of apartheid means that we must continue to focus on the transformation of our economy. This transformation is not a luxury, it is an imperative. We must ensure that the wealth of our nation is distributed equitably, then the opportunities for growth are accessible to all, and that our fiscal policies serve to dismantle the inequalities that remain deeply embedded in our society. In this context, Honourable Deputy Chairperson, the ANC-led GNU has worked to craft policies that align with the broader goal of the economic reconstruction and recovery plan and the party broader vision for economic justice. These policies seek to stimulate economic growth, create sustainable jobs, and build an economy that is more resilient, more inclusive, and more capable of meeting the needs of our people. As the chairperson of the committee, I'm pleased to report that after extensive consultation, deliberation, and engagement with stakeholders across the spectrum, we have identified key areas that demand urgent attention. These areas include revenue generation, expenditure management, and public debt. In all of these discussions, we have been guided by the principle of prudent fiscal management, social equity, and economic transformation. Honourable Deputy Chairperson, the ability of the South African government to provide essential services depends largely on the revenue we generate through taxation. However, as we have seen in recent years, the COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent economic slowdown have strained our revenue collection efforts. We must recognize that our tax system must evolve to meet the needs of our changing economy. This means introducing reform that will broaden the tax base, reduce tax evasion, and increase efficiency in tax collection. The ANC remain committed to a progressive tax system that ensures that those who can afford to pay more to do so, while protecting the poorest and most vulnerable in our society. The principle of fairness must be at the heart of our tax policy. We believe that the tax system that is based on ability to pay is not only equitable but essential for the sustainable finances of public goods and services. At the same time, we must ensure that our tax policies do not stifle growth but foster a thriving private sector that can create the job and opportunities our people do desperately need. Honourable Deputy Chairperson, we increase revenue in critical. We must also ensure that if every cent of taxpayers' money is spent wisely. The Select Committee on Finance has examined expenditure on provinces across the board, with a particular focus on ensuring that funds are allocated where they will have the greatest impact. This includes investing in infrastructure, healthcare, education, and social protection, sectors that are crucial for the development of our country and the well-being of our people. As we table this report, Honourable Deputy Chairperson, we acknowledge the need for fiscal discipline. The ANC approach to public finances grounded in the understanding that our economic recovery cannot be achieved by overspending or by neglecting the need of sustainable fiscal management. We therefore encourage that we prioritize spending in areas that directly contribute to the long-term growth and development of the economy, while at the same time reducing waste and efficiency. On managing public debt and borrowing responsibility, one of the most significant challenges we face as a nation is the level of public debt. While borrowing is an essential tool for financing critical development projects, it is important that we borrow responsibly. The Select Committee of Finance has carefully considered the country's borrowing needs and has recommended we adopt a more cautious approach to external borrowing while exploring alternatives to financing our development needs. The ANC recognizes that the future of South Africa's economy depends on our ability to manage debt sustainability. This means ensuring that we are not only able to repay our debt, but also that the debt we incurred is invested in projects that will generate long-term value for our countries. Our approach must be guided by the principle that borrowing should be for investment, not consumptions. The role of provincial government in fiscal oversight. It is crucial that we recognize the importance of provincial government in the implementation of financial policies. Provinces are the forefront line of the service delivery, after the local government, and the resources allocated to them play a significant role in improving the lives of South Africans, especially those in the rural and urban areas, those in the rural and undeserved areas. In this report, we have worked closely with provincial representatives to ensure that funds are distributed fairly with a focus on addressing the unique needs of each province. The ANC has always been a strong advocate for decentralization and for empowering provincial government to better address local challenges. As we move forward, it is important that we continue to support our provinces in their fiscal responsibilities, ensure that they have the resources and capacity to deliver service effectively. In conclusion, Honourable Deputy Chairperson, honourable members, the work of the Select Committee on Finance represents our collective commitment to building the South Africa that is financially stable, economically just, and socially inclusive. The proposal we make is the report are not just about numbers. We are about the lives of ordinary South Africans. They are about ensuring that every person, regardless of their background or circumstances, have access to opportunity that will allow them to strive. As the members of the ANC, we understand that the true measure of our success is not how much wealth we generate, but how well the wealth is shared. We are committed to creating the economy that serves the people and economy that's put the needs of the poor and marginalized at the center of our policy decision. It is in this commitment that will guide us as we continue to implement policies that foster sustainable economic growth and promote social justice. I urge all members to consider the report as tabled, not just as a set of financial recommendations, but as a blueprint for a future that we can all be proud of, a future where South Africans could live dignified, prosperous lives. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Ndlovu. Before we proceed to the voting, I shall now allow provinces an opportunity to make declarations in terms of Rule 86, if they so wish, for a maximum of 3 minutes. Are there any provinces that want to make a declaration? I don't see any hands. We shall now proceed to the voting on the question. I call upon the provinces to cast their votes. When called upon, heads of delegations must indicate whether they vote in favor, against, or abstain. Eastern Cape.
Hello, the Ponolangwele, the Pasa, umbiko of Obegwe, Umslalo wethu. Os, Siyabulele.
Thank you. Free State.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Free State votes in favor.
Thank you, Honourable Nguwe. Gauteng.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Gauteng supports the report.
Thank you. KwaZulu-Natal.
On behalf of the province of KwaZulu-Natal, we support the report.
Thank you, Honourable Billy. Limpopo.
No, thanks very much, Deputy Chair. On behalf of the province of Limpopo, we support the report.
Thank you, Honourable Mokwele. Mpumalanga.
Impumalanga ikitfundvubala manje. Samba nayo sayisekela le report.
Thank you. Northern Cape.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Northern Cape supports the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Northwest.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. As Northwest, we support the report.
Thank you. And Western Cape.
Deputy Chair, Western Cape will support.
Thank you. Honourable delegates, the voting is now closed, and I can report that all 9 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the report adopted in accordance with Section 65 of the Constitution. Honourable delegates, we shall now proceed to the 7th order, and that is the consideration of the...
Deputy Chair, sorry to interrupt you. As a whip, I would like to inquire whether you want to go back to item 3, 4, and 5, because it might be in place now. Thank you.
I will do that once I've got a clear direction from the table staff. We will go back. Don't worry. We haven't forgotten.
Yes, Deputy Chair.
Honourable Chief Whip.
On the same matter, I agree with the advice from the table staff. Let's affirm that the 3 reports were 80 seat. The first one on the 3rd of September, the second one on the 6th of September, And then the third one on the 3rd of September. So the table staff has interacted, is intervening with the chair so that the chair can be able to put the 3 reports before the House for adoption. Indeed, they were 80 seat, but the table is guiding the chair of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chief Whip. I'd just like an indication from the chair of the committee, whether Honourable Boshoff, whether you are ready.
Thank you very much, Chair. I will move forward now.
Is there?
Okay, just to remind members, this is the 3rd, 4th, and 5th orders, and that is a protocol on the competition to the agreement to the establishment of the Africa Free Trade Area, and the report on the Afrim Bank, and then the protocol on women and youth in trade on the African Free Trade Area. Honourable Boshoff, you have 15 minutes.
Deputy Chair, thank you for that, and I profusely apologise for the slip in this. Deputy Chair, the report of the committee's deliberations on the protocol on the competition to the agreement establishing the African Continental Free Trade Area was published on the 3rd of September in the ATC. The committee report on the protocol on women and youth in the trade to the African Continental Free Trade Area was also published on the 3rd of September and ATC'd. The report on the committee's deliberations on the Afri-Exim Bank establishment was published in the ATC of 5 November 2025. There was unanimous support for the protocols and the agreement in our committee, and this is reflected in these reports, which I hereby table for the decision by this House. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Boshoff. We shall now proceed to the voting on the 3rd order. I shall now give provinces an opportunity to make declarations on the 3rd order in terms of Rule 86, if they so wish, for a maximum of 3 minutes. Are there any provinces that want to make a declaration? No. We shall now proceed. I call upon the provinces to cast their votes, either in favour, against, or abstain. We shall start with the Eastern Cape.
And honourable members, I'm pleased to report that the Eastern Cape is voting in favour of the reports.
Free State.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Free State supports.
Thank you. Gauteng.
Thank you, Chair. Gauteng supports the report.
Thank you, Honourable Mananiso. KwaZulu-Natal.
Thank you, Chairperson. On behalf of the province of KwaZulu-Natal, we support the report.
Thank you. Limpopo.
Thank you, Chairperson. Limpopo support.
Thank you, Honourable Molokome. Mpumalanga.
Mpumalanga support.
Thank you. Northern Cape.
In favour. Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you. Northwest.
Northwest supports.
Thank you. Western Cape.
Western Cape supports, Chair.
Thank you. Voting is now closed. Honourable delegates, I'm happy to announce that all 9 provinces voted in favour. Therefore, I declare the report adopted in accordance with Section 65 of the Constitution. We shall now go to the vote, the 4th order, and I now call upon provinces if they wish to make a declaration for 3 minutes. I don't see any hands. The 4th order, yeah. We shall now proceed to the voting on the 4th order. I now call upon provinces to cast their votes. The heads of provinces can vote either in favour, against, or abstain. Western Cape.
Western Cape supports, Chair.
Thank you. Northwest.
Northwest supports, Chair.
Thank you. Northern Cape.
Chair, Northern Cape is in favour.
Thank you. Mpumalanga.
Thank you, Chair. Mpumalanga supports.
Thank you. Limpopo.
Thanks, Chair. Limpopo support.
Thank you. KwaZulu-Natal.
Chairperson, the province of KwaZulu-Natal will support.
Thank you. Gauteng.
Thank you, Chair. Gauteng supports.
Free State.
Thank you, Chair. Free State supports.
Thank you. Eastern Cape.
Thank you, Chair. The Eastern Cape votes in favor.
Thank you. Thank you, honourable delegates. The voting is now closed, and I can announce that all 9 provinces voted in favor. I therefore declare the report adopted in accordance with Section 65 of the Constitution. We shall now move on to the 5th order. And before we proceed to voting, I'll allow provinces an opportunity to make declarations in terms of Rule 86, if they so wish, for 3 minutes. I don't see any hands, so therefore we shall move on to the voting on the 5th order, and now call upon the heads of delegations to indicate whether they vote in favor, support, abstain, or against. Eastern Cape.
Eastern Cape vote in favor.
Thank you. Free State. Microphone, please.
Free State votes in favor, Deputy Chair.
Thank you. Gauteng.
Gauteng supports the report. Thank you.
Thank you. KwaZulu-Natal.
KwaZulu-Natal supports the report.
Thank you. Limpopo.
Thank you, Chair. Limpopo support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mpumalanga.
Mpumalanga vote in favor.
Thank you. Northern Cape.
Northern Cape support the report.
Thank you. Northwest.
Northwest supports, Chair.
Thank you. Western Cape.
Western Cape supports, Chair.
Thank you. Honourable delegates, the voting is now closed, and I can report that all 9 provinces voted in favor, and therefore the report is adopted in accordance with Section 65 of the Constitution. Honourable delegates, we shall now move on to the next order, and that is the 7th order. And that is a consideration of the report of the Select Committee on Social Services on an oversight visit to the Eastern Cape Province from the 8th to the 10th of September 2025, and it was ATC'd on the 13th of October 2025. I now call upon the Honourable Finis, and I believe that she is on the virtual platform to present a report for 10 minutes.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Greetings to the Honourable Deputy Chair and the Honourable members. The Select Committee on Social Services conducted an oversight visit to the Eastern Cape Province from the 8th to the 10th of September 2025 in line with Section 72 of the Constitution, which mandates the NCOP to conduct oversight over the executive. The purpose of the visit was to assess the maladministration and improper conduct at the Doran Ginza Regional Hospital as reported by the Public Protector of the South Africa, and to evaluate the implementation of remedial actions ordered in the Public Protector's May 2025 report. The visit covered 4 health facilities in Kabega, Doran Ginza Regional Hospital, Livingston Hospital, Empelweni TB Hospital, Port Elizabeth Provincial Hospital. Summary of the Public Protector's report. The Public Protector initiated an investigation after media reports showed pregnant women sleeping on chairs at Doran Ginza Hospital due to overcrowding and poor service delivery. The Public Protector found that the Eastern Cape Department of Health had failed to progressively deliver basic health care services as required by Section 27 of the Constitution and the National Health Act. The key findings included maternity ward, insufficient beds, and staff shortages since 2017. Staff shortages, use of outdated 2060 organogram, no recruitment for 5 years, centralized HR processes causing severe delays. The district hospital, absence of district hospital in the Nelson Mandela Health District causes massive patient overload at the Doran Ginza Regional Hospital, lack of equipment, centralized procurement delays, inadequate and non-functional medical equipment, laundry and kitchen, obsolete equipment, staff shortages, and delayed infrastructure projects. The Public Protector concluded that the Department of Health in the Eastern Cape constituted maladministration and improper conduct and issued remedial actions with clear deadlines, mostly within 120 days, to address these failures. The department's responses: the Department of Health of the Eastern Cape acknowledged the public protector's findings and stated that most of the challenges were systemic and budget related. They cited financial constraints and a significant budget deficit, medical legal claims, and the end of the PEPFAR funding as major fiscal pressures. Overstretched staff and aging infrastructure due to population growth and lack of primary healthcare resourcing. Actions taken so far: recruitment of critical staff using conditional grants, decentralization of HR processes to speed up appointments, collaboration with the health sector to upskill staff, secure upgrades including CCTV and a perimeter wall at DNRH, expansion of maternity beds to 104 beds, progress towards gazetting in Empolweni TB Hospital as a district hospital. However, the department considered that more time and resources are required for full implementation. Stakeholders' input: trade unions and staff representatives NAHAO, Ospersas, Samato and PSA raised serious concerns. The department's report was incomplete and lacked transparency. Many staff are without proper allowance. Severe shortages of non-clinical personnel persist. Health professionals face safety risk, and especially from psychiatric patients. Outsourcing services was criticized as ineffective. Unions proposed that the department be placed under administration due to poor governance and moral. They also highlighted psychosocial strain and lack of recognition of allied health professionals in performance systems. Findings from site visits: Livingston Hospital, commendable oncology services with new linear accelerator. However, infrastructure is old and needs refurbishment. Doran Ginza Regional Hospital, noticeable improvements in security and maternity services, but persistent shortages of staff, safety equipment, and kitchen resources. The hospital delivers about 700 babies monthly. Empolweni TB Hospital, deteriorating of infrastructure, but plans are underway to convert it into a district hospital. Port Elizabeth Provincial Hospital, ICU construction halted for 12 months. New contractor appointment in progress. Estimated completion cost 30 million. The recommendations of the committee is prioritize procurement of essential medical equipment and maintenance of existing infrastructure, fill both clinical and non-clinical vacancies urgently, including cleaners, cooks, and porters, strengthen security systems across facilities, expedite the conversion of Empolweni TB Hospital into a district hospital, submit a detailed implementation plan addressing the public protector's remedial actions to the committee and the public protector within 10 working days. Unions to submit written reports on unsolved issues to ensure comprehensive oversight. Conclusion. Honourable Deputy Chair, the committee's oversight revealed a health system under strain but not without progress. Despite the resource and capacity challenges, there is visible commitment from healthcare workers and managers to improve service delivery. The committee will continue to monitor the department's compliance with the public protector's remedial directives and its commitment to the constitutional right of every South African to access quality healthcare. Ultimately, this report calls for accountability, urgency, and strategic investment into our public health facilities to restore to restore dignity, trust, and efficiency in service delivery across the Eastern Cape and beyond. Deputy Chair, so I table this report to be considered. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Finis. Honourable delegates, I now put the question to the House, and the question is that the report be adopted. But before we do that, I will allow provinces an opportunity to make declarations, if they so wish, in terms of Rule 86. Are there any provinces that want to make declarations? I don't see any hands. We shall now proceed to the voting on the question. I now call upon provinces to cast their votes, and heads of delegation must indicate whether they vote in favour, against, or abstain. We shall start with the Eastern Cape.
Honourable Deputy Chairperson, Eastern Cape, vote in favour.
Thank you. Free State.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Free State votes in support.
Thank you. Gauteng.
Thank you, Chair. Gauteng supports the report.
KwaZulu-Natal.
Chairperson, the province of KwaZulu-Natal supports the report.
Thank you. Limpopo.
Thanks very much, Chair. As Limpopo, we support the report.
Thank you. Mpumalanga.
Mpumalanga province siyavuma sihamba nayo report.
Thank you. Northern Cape.
We support the report. Thank you, Deputy.
Thank you. Northwest.
Northwest supports the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Western Cape.
Western Cape supports, Chair.
Thank you, honourable delegates. The voting is now closed, and I can report that all 9 provinces voted in favour. Therefore, the report is adopted in accordance with Section 65 of the Constitution. Honourable delegates, before we proceed to the next order, I would like to welcome in the gallery Goodness Mokwele, the daughter from Limpopo, from Honourable Mokwele. Thank you very much for bringing your daughter along to witness the NCOP. We thank you for being here, and we hope that you will enjoy this session of the NCOP. We now move on to the 8th and 9th orders. Thank you, delegates. We now move on to the 8th and 9th orders, honourable delegates, and that is the consideration of the report of the Joint Standing Committee on the Financial Management of Parliament on the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa 2025-2026, first quarter report dated 14th October 2025. It was ATC'd on the 21st of October 2025. And consideration of the report of the Joint Standing Committees on the Financial Management of Parliament on the draft 2026-27 Annual Performance Plan of the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa dated 14th October 2025, ATC'd on the 21st of October 2025. I now call upon again the Honourable S. Ndlovu, Chairperson of the Joint Standing Committee on Financial Management of Parliament, to present a report for 15 minutes.
Thanks, Honourable Deputy Chairperson. Let me stand on the protocol that has already been established. Deputy Chairperson, it's my honor to present to you the Joint Standing Committee on the Financial Management of Parliament's report. Deputy Chair, can I check something? I'll have to report about these 2 reports at once.
Yes, you have 15 minutes to present both the reports.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Yeah. I'm honored to present to you the Joint Standing Committee report on Financial Management report on the institution draft 2026-2027 Annual Performance Plan, processed in line with the requirement of the Financial Management of Parliament and Provincial Legislature Act. The 7th Parliament has as its vision to be a transformative and active parliament that improves the quality of life of South Africans and ensures enduring equality in society. Its mission is to represent the people and to ensure government by people of the people in fulfilling its constitutional function of passing laws and overseeing executive actions. The 2026 annual performance plan is to second plan in the implementation of the 7th Parliament strategy. The program 1, the administration provides for strategic leadership, management and corporate services to Parliament and comprises the following sub-programs: Executive Authority, Office of the Secretary, Corporate and Support Services. The budget allocated to this program for 2026-2027 is 2.5 billion. During 2026-2027, the institution intends to develop 3 system to automate core parliamentary processes for the management of online bill tracking, digital services delivery dashboards, and online submissions for public office bearers nominations. In respect of human resources, the institution intends to achieve 100% implementation of annual human capital strategy initiative. Program 2, Honourable Deputy Chairperson, Legislative and Oversight provides procedural, informative, content, and administrative support to the National Assembly and the NCOP and their committees. The program comprises the following sub-programs, that is the National Assembly and the NCOP, public participation and external relations, shared services, and sectoral parliament and joint businesses. The budget allocated to this program amounts to 1 billion. In respect of oversight and executive accountability, the institution has committed to produce an annual status report on executive responsiveness to House resolution, implement 2 recommendations from the accountability standard reports, and reach 90% annual implementation of the oversight priority plan for certain identified committees. Progress in this regard will go a long way towards rebuilding public confidence in Parliament. These efforts should be supported. The Constitution requires the Parliament should provide meaningful opportunities for the public to get involved in legislative and other parliamentary processes. To this end, the institution intends to attain 90% implementation of identified annual public participation improvement. The plan to support this implementation will be developed in the first quarter of 2026-2027. Members of Parliament are public representatives tasked with the execution of Parliament's mandate, powers, and functions. This capacity to do so is critical to the success of the institution. The investment in the continued learning environment will build sufficient and appropriate skills and capabilities to address the complex challenges facing the country. In 2026, the institution will be implementing the annual member capacity building program and developing an integrated member capacity building. In the 7th Parliament, the institution intends implementing impactful lawmaking to assist them in doing the impact assessment will be implemented for identified committees. In addition, the lawmaking function will be enhanced, and to this end, several initiatives have been identified to ensure that laws passed by Parliament meet constitutional standards. These reforms are intended to deliver the desired changes towards impactful lawmaking that improve the quality of life of all citizens. In 2026, the institution aims to achieve 95% implementation of impact assessment for identifying committees. There's a program 3, that provide facilities and financial support for political parties, including leadership, administrative, and constituency support. It comprises the following sub-programs: members' facilities, transfers, political parties allowances, transfer, parliamentary budget office, PBO. There are no outcomes and indicators under this program, and the institution has not identified any risk associated with this program. A budget of 950 million has been allocated to this program. The institution has identified a series of risks that may impact the achievement of its target for 2026-2027, as well as associated mitigation strategies. The committee will monitor the management of these risks during its quarterly engagement on the implementation of the annual performance plan. In respect of the proposed budget, Honourable Deputy Chairperson, the committee has noted that the administration is in the process of revising the budget with a view of presenting the final version in 2026. Further consultation between the Executive Authority and the Minister of Finance were scheduled for September 2025. The National Treasury is expected to provide an indicative budget allocation for 2026-2027 between November and December. The observation is that we have observed that more transparency is required in the manner in which Parliament budget is determined. We further note progress made as far as the consultation with the FFC around the development of funding model of Parliament. The committee has noted that the institution intends to implement legislative improvement to address ineffective lawmaking that may result in unconstitutional legislation being passed by the Parliament. When the 2025-26 budget was considered, the committee supported the uniform budget allocated across all parliamentary committees. We remain concerned about the poor responsiveness of the executive to parliamentary questions while the House performed adequately in this regard. The NA requires stronger monitoring process. The 7 Parliament's broadcast strategies is the key component in efforts to improve access to Parliament and the public participation. The intention listed under paragraph 3.311 of our report are noted, in particular the establishment of high-level steering committee to coordinate public involvement efforts. We recommend that the steering committee be established as soon as possible to ensure the 7th Parliament improve radically on the institution's previous performance in respect of its constitutional obligation relating to public participation. Thank you, Chairperson. Allow me also, Chair, to... Good afternoon, House Chair. It is also, as I'll now be dealing with the report on the financial management of Parliament for 2025-2026 first quarter report, Chair. The institution set 10 indicators for 2024-2025, all of which were measured at the end of the first 8 of the 10 targets met by the end of the period under review. In respect of Program 1, the administration, the institution must re-engineer its business processes to support Parliament's work and strengthen oversight. In respect of Program 2, the legislation and oversight, the 6 of the 8 targeted were achieved. The committee is particularly pleased that efforts to facilitate improved executive responsiveness to House resolutions and public participation and the development of an oversight priority plan were well on track. In respect of the target not met, we have noted with concern that the institution was not able to meet the first quarter target of performing research and benchmarking of local and international best practice relating to the enforcement of parliamentary oversight and updating the legislative impact assessment framework were not achieved. As you know, lawmaking and oversight are the institution's core responsibilities. The administration is encouraged to make up lost ground in the remaining quarter of the year to ensure that we are able to assess the impact of the laws we pass and avoid unnecessary legal challenges. I hope honourable members are listening clearly, and to ensure that we improve our capacity for oversight of the executive in line with their commitment of participate in the transformation of society. In respect of the institution's financial performance, the 729 million or 14% of its 5.84 billion annual allocation, including the rebuilding funds, was spent, including in the expenditure amount of 4.6 million and 138 million spent in respect of the rebuilding project and direct charges respectively, in which to highlight the impact of contribution to the PAMED medical scheme on the Parliament's baseline budget, an amount of 23.9 million or 28% of the 85 million annual budget was spent in the first quarter for medical aid contribution for former members of Parliament and provincial legislatures. Indications point to an amount of 100 million being required to pay and the contribution for the financial year, resulting in shortfall of 15 million. The institution is forced, therefore, to request additional funding during the 2025-2026 adjustment budget process. Having considered the institution performance in the period under review, we have made certain key key observations and recommendations in respect of public participation. We ask that you note that in the first quarter, the target set in relation to such participation has been met. However, concerns remain about the report successes. The committee will further engage the administration on the public participation initiatives undertaken in this first quarter and how their impact was measured. While the committee welcomes progress made in the filling of vacancies, particularly those in respect of language services and community support services, we remain concerned about the wisdom and recruitment while the organizational review processes is incomplete. The administration will be engaged further on the progress made in the organizational realignment project, the cost, that is the current organogram, and the impact of the unfunded vacancies on institutional performance. And all future quarterly reports must include an update on the organizational realignment process. Lastly, Honourable House Chair, with regard to the rebuilding project, we have noted the expenditure to date and the magnitude of the project. We are concerned about possible delays in the project which could result in it not being completed by November 2026. Parliament must make every effort to ensure that project timelines are realistic and that they are adhered to. Each quarterly update of the project must include a detailed breakdown of expenditure and delivery in order to allow the Joint Standing Committee of Finance Management of Parliament to track progress made in the project. Thank you, Chairperson. Thanks, Honourable House Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Ndlovu. Thank you, delegates. That concludes the debate, and I'm now going to deal first with the 8th order. The question is that the report be adopted. Before we proceed to voting, I shall allow provinces the opportunity to make their declarations on the 8th order in terms of Rule 86, if they so wish. There's a maximum of 3 minutes per delegation. Can I have an indication of hands if there are any declarations to be had? Western Cape, Honourable Badenhorst.
Honourable House Chairperson, this declaration records our concerns regarding the first quarter performance and expenditure report of Parliament. The committee cannot continue to exercise meaningful oversight when repeated requests for detailed line-by-line expenditure information remains unanswered. For several consecutive quarters, we've asked for the full breakdown of goods and services expenditure. Yet again, this information was withheld. It's equally concerning that the committee's formal resolution requiring quarterly reporting on cost-saving measures have been ignored. There's no cost-saving strategy, no record of savings realized, and no mechanism to track efficiencies anywhere in the Q1 report. The committee has also repeatedly requested credible expenditure forecasting. Without forward-looking projections for Q2 and Q4, it's impossible to determine whether Parliament is on track. Honourable members, it's implausible that Parliament achieves 100% of its quarterly budget every quarter and still ends with under and overspending. Chairperson must also place on record a deeply troubling pattern. Sections 54.1 and 54.2 of the FMPPLA continue to be disregarded despite personal pleas in this regard. These sections require the executive authority to table monthly, quarterly and mid-year reports within 5 working days and ensure their prompt referral to this oversight mechanism, this committee. Non-compliance is not a procedural lapse, members. It's a breach of law. Additionally, operational matters remain unresolved. Unanswered HR questions, including the escalating salary of the Secretary to Parliament, now sitting at 7.2 million rand per annum. The appointment of several advisors and consultants costing the public taxpayer millions per annum. Absent disciplinary reports, no clarity on organizational realignment, and ongoing recruitment despite the absence of a cost organogram. Furthermore, the Secretary to Parliament undertook to implement real-time audits, yet correspondence from the Auditor General confirms this has not occurred, including audits into the procurement of demolition companies like Mazia General Services and other service providers. Chairperson, the continued withholding of information, the disregard for committee resolutions, and the violations of Section 54.1 and 54.2 amount to a flagrant disregard for the rule of law. Instead of asking Parliament to approve this report, permission should be sought to launch a full investigation into the administration's conduct, systemic non-compliance, and any deliberate obstruction of oversight. This is essential to restore confidence in our financial governance and uphold the integrity of Parliament itself. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Badenhorst. I haven't noted any other hands, Honourable Members. We shall now proceed to voting on the 8th order. I now call upon provinces to cast their votes. When called upon, please, heads of delegations must indicate whether they vote in favour, against, or abstain from the vote. Let's start with the Eastern Cape.
Chair, the Eastern Cape votes in favour.
Thank you. The Free State?
Chair, Free State votes in favour.
Thank you. Gauteng?
Thank you, Chair. Gauteng supports the report.
Thank you. KwaZulu-Natal?
Chairperson, on behalf of the province of KwaZulu-Natal, we support the report.
Thank you. Limpopo?
Chairperson, on behalf of Limpopo province, we support the report.
Thank you very much. Mpumalanga?
Chairperson, bacho ePumalanga inaga yonke nesitshaba sonke sikhambisana nale report siyayivuma.
Thank you. Mpumalanga, let's move to the Northern Cape.
Very consistent. We support the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Northern Cape, Northwest Province.
Thank you, House Chair. As Northwest, we support.
Thank you. And the Western Cape.
The Western Cape will not support this report. We reject it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed, Honourable Badenhorst. Voting is now closed, Honourable Members. We have 8 provinces in support, and I therefore declare the report adopted in accordance with Section 65 of the Constitution. Honourable Members, if we can now deal with the 9th order. Before we proceed to voting, I now allow provinces the opportunity to make their declarations of vote on the 9th order in terms of Rule 86, if they so wish. Once again, 3 minutes is accorded per each province. Are there any declarations? Western Cape again.
Honourable Chairperson, we have many concerns with the draft annual performance plan for the 2026-27 financial year as presented to the Joint Standing Committee on Financial Management of Parliament. Our objections are grounded in substantive concerns regarding credibility, alignment, ambition and transparency, concerns repeatedly raised in this committee and yet continuously ignored. First, the strategic indicators and annual targets simply do not align. Medium-term targets are unambitious, incoherent and in several cases regressive. The APP fails to demonstrate how outputs will achieve the very outcomes Parliament has set for itself. The disconnect between strategy and operational planning is glaring. Secondly, the budget that presented is not a real budget. It's merely the planned allocation from National Treasury, which does not correspond with the actual cost pressures presented to this committee on previous occasions. As noted in the documentation, Parliament listed employee compensation at 1.38 billion rand, yet this budget inexplicably reflects only 690 million rand. These numbers contradict each other. This inconsistency alone renders this budget impossible to support. Thirdly, the draft APP is riddled with unambitious tick box indicators that do not advance Parliament's strategic intent. Outcome 1.1 lists online committee submissions and digital dashboards as major achievements, despite these being basic administrative functions. There's no costing for these deliverables, raising concerns about inflated expenditure and the combined reliance on consultants. Outcome 1.2 reflects further contradictions. The accounting officer confirmed that the human capital strategy is completed, yet implementation is deferred by another year without explanation. This delay cost-saving reforms and perpetuates a bloated, inefficient and misaligned staffing model. The organizational realignment remains incomplete, yet recruitment continues. These inconsistencies cannot be endorsed. An APP needs to be the basis for a credible accountability framework. Oversight targets of 70% implementation are simply too light. Parliament cannot plan to underperform. The Western Cape believes oversight must be planned at 100% and delivered at 100%. Anything less is a betrayal of our constitutional mandate. Lastly, the risk mitigation strategies presented are vague, uncosted, and in some cases outside Parliament's mandate, further evidence of poor planning and weak financial management. The lack of alignment, misleading budget figures, unambitious indicators, weak accountability mechanisms, and unresolved HR and structural concerns need to be addressed for this APP to meet the standards of our united government of national unity. We will accept this APP as a working document while our committee builds credible and unimpeachable plans to ensure that our Parliament reaches its potential. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Badenhorst. There being no other indications of declarations, honourable members, we will now proceed to voting on the 9th order. And the question is that the report be adopted. I'll now once again call on provinces to cast their votes. When called upon, please will heads of delegation indicate whether they vote in favour, against or abstain from the report. Once again, we'll start with the Eastern Cape.
Pambi, pono lengwale. Ayixhasa report.
Kosi. Let's move on to the Free State.
Modulasetulo Free State ya itshehetsa tlaleho ena. Ke a leboha.
Ke a leboga, Morena. Let's move to Gauteng.
Thank you, Chair. Gauteng supports the report.
Thank you very much, Gauteng. KwaZulu-Natal.
Mr. Chair, the province of KwaZulu-Natal supports the report.
Thank you very much, Honourable Billy. Let's go to the father of goodness, Mokwele, the province of Limpopo.
Modulasetulo rele province ya Limpopo, province of Limpopo Eden. Re dumellana le report e. Ra leboha.
Ke a leboga, Morena. Let's move to Mpumalanga.
Stalo. Impumalanga isithundubala mage. The report siyayamukela ngetandla tombili.
Yabonga, thank you very much. Mpumalanga, let's move to Northern Cape.
We support the report. Thank you, Honourable House Chair.
By Dankie Noord-Kaap, let's go to the Northwest.
Northwest supports the report. Thank you, Elson.
Thank you very much, Honourable Mashatile, and the Western Cape.
The Western Cape.
Chair, the Western Cape will support.
Thank you very much, Honourable Badenhorst. It seems you've made a lot of people's weekends by that particular comment. Let's note, therefore, honourable members, voting is now closed. All 9 provinces have voted in favour, and I therefore declare the report adopted in accordance with Section 65 of the Constitution. Honourable delegates, we will now proceed to the 10th order of the day, which is the consideration of the report of the Select Committee on Public Petitions and Executive Undertakings. This report is on the executive undertakings made by the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure during the House sitting, as adopted on the 14th of October 2025. It was reported in the ATC of the 22nd of October on page 335. Honourable members, I call on the Honourable O.J. Mokai, the chairperson of the Select Committee on Public Petitions and Executive Undertakings, to present the report. Honourable Mokai, you have 10 minutes.
Chair. Honourable Chairperson of the session, honourable members and fellow South Africans, Dumelang. The Select Committee on Public Petitions and Executive Undertakings, herewith referred to as the committee, having requested the Ministry of Public Works and Infrastructure to appear before it and provide a progress report on the implementation and fulfillment of the executive undertakings made on the floor of the House on the 23rd of July 2024, reports as follows. On the 23rd of July last year, the Honourable Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure made the following undertakings in the House. The first one, he said, and I quote, "We will work closely to rebuild new public-private partnership to roll out energy, communication, infrastructure, water and transport infrastructure." The second undertaking he made is, and I quote, "We are also going to work hard to reposition the portfolio to assume its role as a strategic catalyst for job creation and poverty alleviation, and will do so by building a professional, capable, and ethical department that creates the conditions for enterprises to flourish." The third undertaking, we are also going to build a new culture that is based on excellence, transparency, and succession planning throughout the department. The fourth undertaking, we are going to eliminate red tape and support the growth of small businesses. We want to desperately invest in new research, technology, and innovation to improve business systems and project management. The fifth one, we will work to develop an appropriate skills pipeline that will meet the demands of the ever-building South African built environment. The sixth undertaking, we will be relentless in rooting out corruption, criminality, and sabotage in the construction sector. The seventh undertaking, we must address the challenges that impede the implementation of the goals, which include disruption and hijacking of construction sites, projects not being completed on time and within its budget, corruption and poor project management, construction industry safety standards not being adhered to, and strengthening the professionalism of our department. The eighth undertaking, we have committed ourselves to ensuring in the medium term, we will develop a comprehensive asset register for the government and the owners of these assets, the people of our country, and will make it public in the interest of transparency. The ninth undertaking, there is an urgent need to establish a systemic approach to asset management through a credible and integrated register. Such a register will aid us in making informed decisions regarding assets lifecycle management, from acquisition to maintenance to either repurposing or disposing of assets via lease or sale. The 10th undertaking, we will also look at the commercialization of our spaces, which include advertising, parking, and conferencing facilities. The 11th undertaking, the department will work closely with law enforcement to bring an end to work stoppages or disruptions at construction sites. And he said, I want to be very clear on this point. Anyone who seeks to hold back infrastructure projects must be treated as an enemy of the state. The 12th undertaking, it is unthinkable that in 2024, we still have a PET toilets in our schools. This remains a risk to the lives of our children, and I cannot in good consciousness allow this danger to continue without urgent intervention. In this regard, I've engaged the Minister of Basic Education, the Honourable Sivio Gwahube, and we have agreed in principle that we need to collectively declare a war on PET toilets. The 13th undertaking, the budget will be spent towards creating work opportunities by leading and coordinating the extended public works program, by providing policy and sector oversight, building state capacity to facilitate skills development and strengthen the skills pipeline, and providing direct support to sponsors of priority public infrastructure projects. And the last undertaking, which is the 14th one, the department has been engaging National Treasury and affected departments to improve debt collection, and as the executive authority, I will be engaging affected ministers of offending departments to ensure that they pay us what is rightfully ours, or else we may have to consider other options which may not be everyone's liking. Those were the 14 undertakings that were made by the minister. The concerned executive undertakings were referred to the Select Committee on Public Petitions and Executive Undertakings by the Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces for it to scrutinize and subsequently report to the House on their implementation. And thereafter, on the 8th of July this year, the committee, after extending an invitation to the ministry to appear before it, met to get a report on the progress made in implementing the executive undertakings. In noting the progress made by the minister in relation to the implementation of the executive undertakings under review, the committee makes the following observations and key findings. The committee raised concerns about the issue of criminality around the tender system, the construction mafia running the construction sector, causing disruption of projects and extortion at construction sites. The committee was made aware that the state security agency advised the department that the immovable register cannot be made public or it cannot be accessible publicly given the security concerns. Limited information in the state's immovable asset register can only be shared upon request to approved officials and institutions. The committee was assured that the department's asset register is almost complete. There are a few small elements left to merge the tenure aspect with the land aspect together. The committee raised concerns with outstanding debts by government departments and measures in place to enforce compliance with payment. Chairperson, I will now move to the recommendations. In noting the progress made or the report given by the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure concerning the implementation of these executive undertakings and the review, the committee made the following recommendation. 1, the committee therefore urged and recommended that the departments step up its efforts to remedy the challenges highlighted in the progress report and around the necessity for digital platforms to be implemented at an accelerated pace in the 2025-2026 financial year. This includes, amongst others, to expedite an urgent e-procurement system that will help process tenders by eliminating manual submissions, and to ensure there is greater transparency and communication around the procurement processes. To have every contractor registered in a digital system before they could render services to government. Ensuring that administration of land, unused land, and neglected land is properly digitized. The committee recommended that the State Information Technology Agency, SITA, facilitate and ensure that the necessity for digital platforms is implemented in the 2025 financial year. And SITA is also recommended to submit a monthly report in the financial year to the NCOP. The committee is to be provided with the following reports: a consolidated report on the number of arrests relating to extortion incidents across provinces and how the department is dealing with the extortion issues in the construction industry; a detailed report listing all government departments dated to the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure and outlining recovery plans and time frames. And the last report that must be submitted is the one outlining how assets and asset register are recorded. The committee concluded that a time frame of 3 months must be set for the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure to report back to the NCOP on the implementation of the above recommendations. In the process leading to the 3-month period stipulated, the department is requested to provide the NCOP with a monthly progress report indicating the steps they have taken to facilitate digital platforms. That should include the following: progress report in terms of the engagement of SITA, as well as progress on engagement with National Treasury. Honourable Chairperson, I would like to express my humble appreciation to all committee members for their commitment and robust engagements in the business of our committee. I also want to appreciate all support staff for their efforts. Many thanks goes also to you, House Chairperson, Committees and Oversight, for your guidance and support. In closing, the committee recommends that the House adopt the report on the executive undertakings made by the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure on the 23rd of July in this House. I so move, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Mokai. I would normally say Kieleboga Mogotsi, but I think that word has a different connotation as in the last couple of weeks. Honourable delegates, that concludes the debate, and I'll now put the question to the House. The question is that the report be adopted, and before we proceed to voting, I will allow provinces the opportunity to make their declarations of vote in terms of Rule 86 if they so wish. Remembering we are dealing now with the 10th order, the consideration of the report of the Select Committee on Public Petitions and Executive Undertakings. So, honourable members, we will therefore go to declarations. If there are any declarations, if I can ask for heads of delegations to make these. I see no hands. Honourable members, so we shall now proceed to voting on the question. I now call on provinces to cast their votes, and when called upon, heads of delegations must therefore indicate if they are voting in favour of, against, or abstaining. Eastern Cape.
Chair, the Eastern Cape votes in favour.
Thank you very much indeed. The Free State Province.
Free State votes in favour.
Thank you. Gauteng.
Gauteng supports the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Gauteng. KwaZulu-Natal.
Chair, the province of KwaZulu-Natal supports the report.
Thank you, KwaZulu-Natal. Limpopo.
House Chair, Limpopo support the report.
Thank you. Let's go to Mpumalanga.
House Chair, Mpumalanga supports.
Thank you very much, Mpumalanga. Northern Cape.
House Chair, Northern Cape supports.
Thank you. And the Northwest Province?
Thank you, House Chair. As Northwest, we support the report.
Western Cape?
Western Cape supports, Chair.
Thank you very much, honourable members. The vote is now closed. All 9 provinces have voted in favour of the report, and I therefore declare the report adopted in accordance with Section 65 of the Constitution. Honourable delegates, we will now proceed on to the 11th order of the day. The 11th order is the consideration of the Independent Municipal Demarcation Authority Bill. It's Bill 14D of 2022. It's a National Assembly initiated bill in terms of Section 76 of the Constitution. And we will consider the bill and the report of the Select Committee on Cooperative Governance and Public Administration thereon, which was published in the ATC on the 4th of November 2025. I'd like to call on the Honourable Molokome, member of the Select Committee on Cooperative Governance and Public Administration, to present the committee report. You have 10 minutes, Honourable Molokome.
Thank you, as Chair. Let me greet your good self, the Chief Whip, the chairpersons of the committees and the whips, the provinces on the platform, and special delegates, and also Salga Chair. I'm going to present the report for the Select Committee on Cooperative Governance, Public Administration, Traditional Affairs, Water, Sanitation, and Women's Settlement, on consideration and adoption of the Independent Municipal Demarcation Authority Bill 14D 2022, dated 04 November 2025. The Select Committee on the Cooperative Governance and Public Administration, Traditional Affairs, Water and Sanitation, and Women's Settlement, having deliberated on the considered and the object of the Independent Municipal Demarcation Authority Bill 14D 2022, Section 76, referred to it and classified by the Joint Tax Mechanism as a Section 76 bill. Chair, we report that this bill was agreed to as an amended bill of 14D 2026. I'm going to the background so that members can understand what this bill was intended to do. The Independent Demarcation Authority Bill is an essential piece of legislation that seeks to provide for the establishment, functioning and power of the Independent Municipal Demarcation Authority, to provide for the criteria and procedures for the determination and redetermination of municipal boundaries, to provide for the delimitation of wards, to provide for the establishment of Demarcation Appeals Authority, to provide for municipal capacity assessments, and also to provide for matters incidental, therefore. The public participation processes that the committee took, House Chair, the Select Committee upheld the Constitution and its mandate by recognizing the importance of public involvement in the legislative processes. Further, the Select Committee conducted open meetings without exceptions. The bill was revived on 29 July 2024, and thereafter, the Select Committee received a briefing from the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs on the object of Independent Municipal Demarcation Authority Bill. Also, House Chair, in terms of the facilitation of this public participation, the Select Committee invited stakeholders and interested persons to submit written comments on the bill. The Select Committee, through the Chairperson, Honourable T.M. Kaunda, advertised the bill on parliamentary website and social media's account to request stakeholders and interested persons to submit their written submissions not later than 30th of June 2025. During this period, the Select Committee did not receive any written submissions nor requests for oral hearings. During the period of February and April 2025, all provinces had their briefing sessions, conducted their public hearings, submitted a negotiating mandate on the object of the bill, and also the Select Committee considered final mandate on the 4th of November 2025, and also adopted a committee report recommending the NCOP to pass the bill with amendments. These are the consideration of the proposed amendments, House Chair. On the 16th of September 2025, the Select Committee deliberated on the written submissions and provincial mandates. The Parliamentary Legal Advisor, in collaboration with the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, presented the proposed amendment on the Select Committee. To the Select Committee. The clauses of proposed amendments are detailed below. I'm not going to go through all the proposed clauses, House Chair. I'm only going to indicate the pages and the lines that were changed. Clause 1 on page 5, line 7, page 5, line 16, page 6, line 2, page 6, line 3. On clause 9, there is only one, which is on page 7, line 13. Clause 10 is page 7 in line 51. On page 7 is line 61. Then I'm going to the other clause, which is 16. On page 9, line 42. On page 9, line 53. On page 9, line 54. Page 10, line 6. Clause 38 is on page 19, line 26. Page 19 in line 27. Page 19 after line 27. The last clause, House Chair, is clause 43. Only one change there on page 21, line 22. Then this the committee has recommended the following. The Select Committee on Cooperative Governance and Public Administration, having considered the Independent Municipal Demarcation Authority Bill 14D of 2022, which has classified by the Joint Tax Mechanism as a Section 76 bill, recommends that the Council pass the bill with proposed amendment. Chair, we want to take this opportunity and thank all the committee members that participated in making sure that this bill sees the light of the day by making sure that they correct the amendments and make sure that this bill was sent to the provinces and also the municipalities for the public participation. So we are saying thanks to all who has participated. I know Honourable Badenhorst will laugh because we didn't receive the Western Cape mandate. That was the only province that did not submit. That is why he's leaving, House Chair. So we do thank everyone who participated. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Molokome. Honourable delegates, that concludes the debate, and I'm now going to put the question to the House, and the question is that the bill be agreed to. Before we proceed to voting, I shall allow provinces the opportunity to make their declarations of vote in terms of Rule 86, if they so wish. Once again, 3 minutes per declaration. Are there any provinces who would like to make a declaration? Western Cape.
Honourable House Chair, the Independent Municipal Demarcation Authority Bill is being pushed through without complying with Parliament's own standards for public participation. Chapter 5 of Parliament's public participation model states that any legislative process affecting the public must include informing, educating, and creating meaningful opportunity for the public to participate in the decision-making, close quotes. These are not optional extras. The model emphasizes that Parliament cannot consult or involve the public before it is properly informed and educated them. In the open quote, uniform, close quote stage, information and education must be provided so citizens can meaningfully participate in decisions that affect them. That did not happen. During the Northwest hearings, residents of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda district explicitly requested, and I quote, the public participation, education and empowerment process on the bill be restarted, and I close quotes. A clear indication that they felt uninformed and unempowered. In Limpopo, traditional leaders told the provincial cocktail department that consultations had been inadequate. They warned that the bill would impact traditional leadership structures and emphasized that, and I quote again, meaningful engagement and transparency, close quotes, were essential to support the bill. The same report records that stakeholders felt public hearings were conducted mainly for compliance and decisions were being made without sufficient local consultation. In the Northern Cape, the negotiating mandate notes that the province's public hearing was scheduled just before the Easter weekend, limiting participation, and concludes that, quote again, further consultation is needed on the bill for communities to have broader discussion so they can be inclusive and to avoid litigation, close quotes. Indicating that rural communities across multiple provinces were neither properly informed nor meaningfully consulted. The Western Cape therefore objects to the bill being rushed through without fulfilling the constitutional requirement of participatory democracy. Beyond the procedural flaws, substantive problems remain. The bill's structure risks political capture of the demarcation authority, weakens transparency and accountability in board appointments, increases the permissible deviation in ward size from 15% to 30%, which will split communities and invite gerrymandering, and ultimately fails to secure the independence envisaged by Section 155(3) of the Constitution. Taken together, the lack of meaningful public participation and the bill's substantive flaws make it impossible for the Western Cape to support this legislation. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Badenhorst. There being no other declarations or indications thereof, we will now proceed to voting. I therefore put the question to the House, and I will now call upon the provinces to cast their votes. When called upon, heads of delegations must please indicate whether they vote in favour of the bill, against it, or abstain. Let's start with the Eastern Cape.
The Eastern Cape Province of Legend votes in favour.
Thank you very much indeed, Eastern Cape. Free State.
Free State votes in favour, as Chair.
Thank you very much. Gauteng.
Gauteng votes in favour.
Thank you. KwaZulu-Natal.
On behalf of the province of KwaZulu-Natal, the province votes in support.
Thank you. Limpopo.
Limpopo ramgala report ka matsogo a mabedi. Thank you.
Thank you, Limpopo. Let's move on to Mpumalanga.
Chairperson, Mpumalanga sithi le report siyayiniketa umphelepele. Sithi embili ngayo. Siyayivumela.
The bill, yes. Thank you very much from Mpumalanga. Northern Cape.
Our Chair, Northern Cape, we support. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Northwest.
Thank you, House Chair. As Northwest, we support.
Thank you very much, Northwest. And the Western Cape.
The Western Cape do not support.
Thank you very much, Honourable Badenhorst. Voting is now closed. Honourable members. Honourable members, I have been advised that the mandate received from the Western Cape is not in compliance with Section 6 of the Mandating Procedures of Provinces Act. And some concerns have been raised about that. The fact of the matter remains that in terms of the requirements of Section 65, 1B of the Constitution, the threshold that is determined in terms of that has still been met. 8 provinces have voted in favour of the bill, and I therefore declare that the bill has been agreed to in accordance with Section 65 of the Constitution. Honourable delegates, we will now proceed to the 12th and 13th orders of the day. This is the consideration of the report on P20 Youth Parliament held at Parliament of South Africa on the 13th of June 2025. The report is in the ATC dated 26th of November 2025. And the 13th order is the consideration of the report on P20 Women's Parliament held at Parliament of the Republic of South Africa from 13 to 14 August 2025. And the ATC of 26th of November 2025 contains that particular report. I therefore would like to call on the Honourable P. Govender, the Deputy Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, to present the reports. Deputy Chair, you have 15 minutes.
Thank you very much, House Chair Ryder. Honourable delegates, Chief Whip of the National Council of Provinces, I rise to table the report of the 2025 P20 Women's Parliament convened under the theme, and I quote, accelerating equality, sustainability and shared growth, correcting the gender redistributional bias of growth and development through the Women's Charter, the MTDP, as well as the 2025 G20 development priorities. The event was a strategic build-up to the South Africa G20 summit, highlighting critical issues affecting women and girls. The report highlights key findings, including the gender-blind nature of our development plans, including the medium-term development plan and sector plans. It emphasizes the need for inclusive policies and targeted interventions to accelerate gender equality. The report underscores the importance of revitalizing the national gender missionary as a crucial strategy for mainstreaming gender equality across all sectors. This will ensure a more coordinated and effective approach to promoting equality and women's empowerment. The report suggests that Parliament adopt a legislative consciousness approach, integrating gender impact assessment into all policy reform processes. This would ensure that gender considerations are embedded in decision-making, promoting more inclusive and equitable legislation. Most significantly, the report also proposes the introduction of gender tagging in the budget framework to track and assess the impact of budget allocation on different genders. Additionally, it recommends reassessing the industrial strategy and prioritization of infrastructure development as a national crisis to drive growth and development, thereby advancing gender equality. Furthermore, the report also urges that committees should ensure that departmental annual performance plans have integrated a gender perspective before approval. This will ensure that all line departments integrate gender priorities that are effectively planned and budgeted for. Honourable members, I hereby table this report of the P20 Women's Parliament for adoption. May the report recommendations inform our Select Committee oversight agenda and guide our efforts to address the challenges faced by women in our country. Let us work together to turn these recommendations into meaningful action and create a better future for women and girls in our country. Honourable delegates, Honourable House Chair, that's the report from the P20 Women's Parliament. I shall now move on to the report of the P20 Youth Parliament. And the theme of that Youth Parliament was, quote, youth economic participation, employment and opportunities, developing a medium-term growth development agenda for South Africa's youth. I rise to present the report of the first Youth Parliament of the 7th Dispensation, which was convened on the 13th and 14th of June 2025. This landmark event united a diverse group of young leaders from various sectors, including political party youth formations, civil society organizations, disabled youth, student leaders, and young entrepreneurs. The primary objective of this session was to create a strategic platform for engagement determining the youth development agenda priorities for targeted implementation and oversight over the medium term. The report highlights key findings, recommendations, and resolutions emanating from the Youth Parliament. The report underscores the importance of collaborative efforts to address the pressing challenges facing South African youth, particularly in the areas of economic participation, skills development, employment, and inequality. The report also highlights significant gaps in the National Youth Plan, including the lack of specific targets and benchmarks, as well as the limited integration of youth mainstreaming across key areas of the medium-term development plan. This suggests that more work is needed to secure effective implementation and monitoring of youth development initiatives. The report emphasizes the need for quantifiable targets and tracking of youth SMME development and economic participation aligning with national priorities. The report further calls for strategies to boost localized commercialized innovation, particularly in youth-led businesses across urban, township, and rural areas. As I move for the adoption of this report, I urge the NCOP select committees to thoroughly review, identify areas within their mandate, and use the report as a tool for effective oversight, ensuring tangible outcomes. I move that this House adopts the report of the P20 Youth Parliament and refer it to the various relevant select committees for their consideration and implementation. Honourable House Chair, before I resume my seat, I would like to thank all honourable members of the NCOP as well as the National Assembly who participated in this Youth Parliament as well as the Women's Parliament. Your contributions, however small, was taken into account, and those contributions fed into the G20 summit that took place very successfully under the leadership of the Government of National Unity. And I can proudly say that as South Africans, we must applaud that the G20 was a massive success, and we must all take ownership of it. Having said that, Honourable House Chair, I thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson, for that representation. Honourable delegates, that concludes the debate on the 12th and 13th orders, and I'll now put the question on the 12th order. And just an emphasis, honourable members, the 12th order refers to the Youth Parliament, and the question is that the report be adopted. Before we proceed to voting, I shall allow provinces the opportunity to make their declarations of vote on the 12th order in terms of Rule 86, if they so wish, with a maximum of 3 minutes. There being no indication of any declarations, we will now proceed to voting on the 12th order. I now call on provinces to cast their votes, and when called upon, heads of delegations must please indicate if they vote in favour, against, or abstain. Let's start with the Eastern Cape once again.
Phondo lengwele. Zanda zosibi. Layibulele. Sithi siyaphambili asimva. Ngamakho.
Thank you very much, Nkosi. Let's move to the Free State.
House Chair, Free State vote in favour on condition that next year, under the leadership of the traditional leaders who will be counted men in that report, will be in the forefront. Thank you, Chair.
I'm not sure that there's scope for conditions on in favour, against, or abstain, Honourable Nue, but we will note that you vote in favour. Gauteng.
Thank you, Chair. Gauteng supports the report.
Thank you very much. Brief and concise. KwaZulu-Natal.
Chair, the province of KwaZulu-Natal supports the reports.
Thank you, KwaZulu-Natal. Limpopo.
Thank you, Chair. Limpopo vote in favour.
Thank you, Limpopo. Part 2, let's go to Mpumalanga then.
Mpumalanga ushentshweni sisivumile.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Let's move on to Northern Cape.
We support the report.
Thank you, Northern Cape, and the Northwest.
Thank you very much, House Chair. As Northwest, we support the report.
Thank you, and Western Cape Province.
Die Weskaap sal ondersteun.
Thank you very much indeed. Voting is now closed. All 9 provinces have voted in favour of the report. I therefore declare the report adopted in accordance with Section 65 of the Constitution. Honourable members, we'll now proceed to the 13th order, and before I proceed to voting, once again allow provinces to make their declarations of vote on the 13th order in terms of Rule 86, if they so wish, with 3 minutes. Do I see any declarations? I see no indication, so we will proceed immediately to the voting on the 13th order. I call on provinces to cast their votes. When called upon, heads of delegations must, without condition, indicate whether they vote in favour, against or abstain. Eastern Cape.
The Eastern Cape vote in favour.
Thank you, Eastern Cape. Free State.
Free State,
Yes, an honorary member of the youth in Free State. Gauteng.
Thank you, Chair. Gauteng supports the report.
Thank you very much indeed. KwaZulu-Natal.
Chair, KZN votes in support.
Thank you, KwaZulu-Natal. Limpopo.
South Chair, Limpopo votes in favour.
Thank you very much indeed. Mpumalanga.
House Chair, Mpumalanga vote in favour.
Thank you. Northern Cape.
House Chair, Northern Cape, we support. Thank you.
Thank you. Northwest.
Thank you, House Chair. As Northwest, we support.
Thank you. And the Western Cape.
The Western Cape votes in favour, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed. Voting is now closed, honourable members. We have once again all 9 provinces voting in favour of the report, and I therefore declare the report adopted in accordance with Section 65 of the Constitution. Good. Honourable members, I would like to thank all permanent delegates, the MECs, the special delegates and SALGA representatives online for availing themselves for the sitting. Honourable delegates, that concludes the business of the day, and the House is indeed adjourned this time until next week. Confirmed. Thank you.
Recording stopped.